Don't you know drugs are everywhere, drugs are everywhere, drugs are everywhere. You can't stop it. Criminalize it, make a profit, a full and so it's longevity. Drugs are everywhere, drugs are everywhere, drugs are.
Hey, Murph here. I'm a former heroin addict and current alcoholic, and you're tuned into Self-Medicated Weekly Dose, a podcast all about drugs and the people who use them. As always, this program is inspired by the harm reduction movement, informed by my personal experience using all sorts of drugs for damn near 30 years, and enlightened by my special guests. And I will tell you what, today I got a dynamite number on my hands. You know them. Listen, I've had the pleasure of collaborating with them for many years now in the New York comedy scene. They're a comedian, a wonderful human being, as a matter of fact. Please welcome to the program, Lou Gonzalez.
Wow.
Yes,
wow.
Your fans
the
are
applause is overwhelming. Thank you for saying that I'm an amazing human, because the goal at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah, that's got to be on the resume. You know, it's like you can put all the fucking credits you want on there. You know, we've all done the jazz around in the industry, but it's like, oh, who are you in your heart and soul? And you're wonderful there.
That touches me. And you're a real one, Murph. I always fuck with you. It really is something that I have like really thought about, because like there's very talented people, but then there's talented people who are good people, and I really I make an effort with those folks.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're both very talented.
We are, you know, and it's like
sexy beast.
Just sex machines, as a matter of fact, I would say.
And we have a great heart.
We do.
Beautiful.
Great in the streets, heart in the streets, and sex machine in the sheets, as I believe.
That's right. And that's the only way you can be.
It really is. I mean, this fucking current climate, it's like we just need all the love. We need all the love we can get right now.
That's true. I will say, over the past 2 years, I haven't been as nice as I wanted to be, but too bad.
Look, sometimes you're going to go there. You know what I mean? And it's aimed. You aim your arrows, I feel, always upwards, which is what I feel like. I always appreciate taking pot shots at the status quo. I mean, we can do that all day. You know, I mean,
because it's fun. It's fun. I mean, it's scary the first couple of times you do it, but then. Once I lost like my fifth or sixth major career opportunity, I was like, oh, I can keep doing this. I can keep doing this easy. Like, this is fun for me.
Yeah, same. You shoot your wad early. It's like you show your hand, and then they're just. I mean, that's probably also why we both have a soul left. Is we haven't reached that part of the industry where the upper echelons where they you clock out your soul and you go to work up there. But we're still we're comfortable here.
I will say this, and I remember like I would have this conversation with friends. I was like, I was born poor. I'm cool dying poor. Like, this isn't like a problem. I know what poverty is. Like, I know what living poor is, and it's actually not that bad. It's actually not that bad. Like, we get access to drugs too. It's just that when we're on drugs and we're drunk and shit, people are like, oh, you're filthy. And I was like, well, I'm just poor.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have the same access to your fancy ass drugs.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to dive into some segments. We got a couple of segments to get into, and the first one here is a little number called the Substance Report.
This is the question: do junkies' lives matter?
Now, Lou, we all know the mainstream media's narrative on substance use is complete trash. Always has been, and always will be. So what I like to do here is look at some of the drug related stories in the news, and kind of see what's missing from the story. You know what I mean? What can we add? What sort of truth, as we were just speaking to? Because there's a lot of twists and turns, even still with the narrative surrounding substances and the people who use them. So this here is I pulled this number specifically for you because for those who don't know, follow Lou on Instagram. He's one of the great TikTok curators of our time. Me and my wife Diana always say, there's just no reason to get on TikTok. It may have passed us. Maybe we're a little too old for it. We tried it, didn't quite work out, but we don't need to now because Lou brings you all the TikToks you need. So I pulled this number specifically for you. This one comes from Fox News, and the headline here says, "TikTok is China's digital fentanyl," FCC commissioner says. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr unpacks lawmakers' push to ban TikTok as concerns over national security and China's involvement grow. So now, in terms of TikTok, first of all, just give people what for those for the listeners who don't know, what they've heard of TikTok, but give us the inner soul of TikTok. What's up there?
I think I'm going to compare it to another app. I think TikTok is video Twitter in many ways.
Video Twitter. Okay.
But also, like, if I'm going to bring up another one, Vine, it's just a very creative place where people can, with not a lot of checks and balances, show what and do pretty much a lot of different ways of expressing themselves. And so
I miss those 6-second Vines, I'll tell you.
Yeah, man. And so I think that's what's so great. What was so great about just short videos is that it does not feel like it's taking time from you. But then when you add them up, it takes a while.
It's pinching those pennies of time, slowly bleeding you.
And so I think it also why it's been so successful is that the pandemic, it blew up in the middle of the pandemic where no one had. And so many people invested in this, either consuming it or doing it. And it created this really fun ecosystem of expression and creativity, shockingly owned by a company that is not what one would say free. So, I mean, not to say that they're any better than the U.S., but it's just like, oh, interesting. But yeah, so that's essentially kind of in a microcosm. TikTok's like video, interesting, fun and interesting video expression.
So digital fentanyl, basically, as the FCC commissioner claims, and I think you just touched on it there. But basically, there's the China concern here is what this FCC commissioner is saying. He says a lot of people look at TikTok and think it's just a fun application for sharing dance videos or other funny videos, but that's just the sheep's clothing underneath of it. It operates as a very sophisticated surveillance app. Now, I don't know I think just fentanyl being a hot button, it's hot right now. Fentanyl, it's a term. Yeah. That's why I think he's kind of just throwing around digital fentanyl, trying to, ring some bells there in this clickbait.
Trying to get buzzwords.
Some buzzwords. Right. Yeah. So I guess like he's combining this might have been, the FCC commissioner might actually be a bot at this point, might have pulled like from various corners of the internet. Oh, fentanyl here. There's, digital, there's TikTok, there's China, there's, let me just pull all these pieces together.
Yeah,
so I'm not quite sure.
I haven't seen the FCC commissioner in person.
No.
They could fully be a bot.
That's right. I've never seen him. I've never actually seen him even in person, let alone with like
show yourself
skin. With skin. Show us you can bleed. Show us you can dream and love and laugh. Yeah, show us all the things. You got to pass the Turing test, basically.
And especially over the past couple of years, I'm like, I really want to know what government agencies have to say about my day to day, because like they're always nailing it. That was super helpful. And I think they, technically it is a threat, but it's a threat because it's owned by a non-US company.
Right.
That's why it's a threat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they're jealous. They're jealous of the success. That's what it is. It's
all
really
that
what
data.
It is. They're just being haters. Yeah, they're like, well, why can't we get all that? Well, it's like go on Facebook. Come on. Like,
yeah.
Like they don't have a. I mean, all of it has been unchecked for so long. So like while I agree with the point of view, and I do believe that they are using it, but that's what all these apps do.
Every one of them, yeah.
That's how they make money. That's why they are successful. Is because they are following us. They're using this information for we're in an age in which technically, I mean, like we're fulfilling the fears and the worries of people who 20 years ago were called like paranoid. Where it's like, no, like they're literally following us everywhere and we truly don't mind. Like,
Yes.
and I'll be honest, like I don't mind. I was like, what information from me is that you're gonna get that is gonna be threaten national security or is gonna hurt? Like, I don't know. I mean, unless we become like a full, then that can turn
Sure.
spooky.
And we're, I mean, at this point, we've also it's checkmate on that too. I think we've lost that ship sailed in terms of the data mining on all this stuff. So it's like, yeah, it is interesting to see because they're talking about possibly banning. There's legislation, bipartisan legislation that's being put together right now to potentially ban, effectively ban TikTok. I don't know logistically how they would do that, but I guess maybe put pressure on some of the like the app store to not let people download. I don't know what it would be, but that's an interesting.
I think what's very funny is that the government really thinks that they can stop this. They can't. No.
It's just it's just same with fentanyl, man. That's the thing. This impulse to be this paternal impulse to just be like, we will control. It's like, listen, daddies, dad, you don't, when daddy tries to crack down on you, it only makes you want to do it more. I mean, I might start using TikTok for Christ's sake if they try to ban it.
And that's what we want. We want you to use TikTok. We want more people to use TikTok, and maybe that's the move. But I think it's an opinion, it's a fear, a concern. But as we were talking about before, it's like, okay, I'm not worried. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care. I literally gave 23andMe my DNA to use however they want to do with it.
Oh,
the core. There's gonna be
little Lou's running around.
I am. There's going to be I think they shouldn't. There should not be. Just thinking about this one alone, I was like, this one's a problem. You don't want more of me's. Little Louie is what I was called when I was younger.
Little Louie?
My family called me Little Louie because my dad was Big Louie and I was Little Louie. And I'm still, to this day, grown-ass people. Like I've been on TV. I've run a theater. I'm doing all these things.
You're your own person.
Lou Gonzalez Jr. I enter that household. I'm still Little Louie. And you know what? It's kind of nice. I'm not going to front. It's kind of nice to hear it because you're like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Like,
you get to kind of like, huff and puff about it. But of course, deep down, it warms you.
But there shouldn't be more for me.
No. The DNA thing is, that's always fun to be floating around out there. I think you spend a lot of time on TikTok, so I'm also curious because there's a lot of Snapchat's one to sell. Another big problem, people talking about selling drugs, over Snapchat. Instagram, you can kind of get if you follow people, you can get some psychedelics and things like that. But I don't think there's a ton of it on Instagram. I guess Snapchat is people are saying is the big one, but TikTok as well. Have you seen any people doing dance videos that also offer any illicit substances?
They're not promoting it directly with their use. And I'll say this, I have a person who I get my drugs from, so I'm not like looking for it.
Sure. Yep,
but there are others who are maybe discovering it. And also because it's also a social media website. So,
Right. Yep.
And
depending on where you are.
Yeah. And I love independent businesses and I support independent business. And if someone wants to sell drugs on TikTok, like go ahead, I like little, just like, I don't want to see a bunch of little Pfizers running around, but I would like to see a bunch of, people who just like need to make some money again from the South Bronx. Make your money how you need to make your money.
That's right. Yeah. You can't knock the hustle.
Inflation's a motherfucker.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. I think the Pfizer, that's the thing. It's like break up. Let's decentralize that Pfizer. Let's let that float around. People are going to want their drugs. They get their drugs from their local, or if it's over the internet. However it is, it's like you can't have that monopoly. We got to break up that drug dealing monopoly.
And then also like it's funny. Like I forgot what was the name of the company that owns the patent or pretends who is selling insulin. That whole blow up on Twitter.
Yep.
And it blew up because they confirmed like, someone made a fake account and said that insulin is free, which was the intent of the person who made the patent.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And then they, I think it was Eli Whitney or something. That's the cotton gin. But they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's not free," and then they lost a bunch of money.
Yeah,
because people are like, "Well, why isn't it?
Why isn't it?" Yeah, I mean, should we talk about kids with diabetes? It's like they got to take fucking bus trips to Mexico or to Canada, depending on where you are, to get affordable insulin. Which is that just doesn't get any simpler and kind of get to the heart of the way we put profits before people, even in medicine. It's like we were talking about before, the capitalist grind. There's no way to square that with the humanity of like, people should have medicine. Like we have these medicines, people should have medicine. You're like, well, if you're going to be in a for-profit system, then not everyone can have medicine, because otherwise,
if I want to get ketamine on TikTok, let me get ketamine on TikTok.
Yes, let this little a diabetic kid get his insulin.
Yeah,
let Lou get his ketamine on TikTok. I'm not.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm not a big ketamine user.
No, you see, it's come a long way. I guess there's been a lot of, and this is, I think, because it was a schedule too. They were able to do a lot of trials and stuff on it. I guess now it seems like it's very much, you can just have it, sent to your house. It's very easy to get right now, and they're using it for a lot of post-traumatic stress and depression and microdosing. My memories of ketamine are K-hole. I was always, I was one who went hard back in the day. So I would always just want to take as much ketamine as I could to get into that, other dimension, into that space, and sucked in and sucked back out, which is fun, but not sustainable. I do it now and again, but like, I guess people using it in smaller doses have had some, really enjoy it for their mood.
That's the thing that people are doing now that's really interesting, because when I was growing up, we were taking drugs in large doses.
Macro dosing is what we call it. Yeah. We were macro dosing.
And I think it was because we had no fucking idea.
Yep.
There was just loose drugs around. They're like, okay, so how much do I take it? All of it? Do I take all of it? Cool.
All of it.
And I was like, so this is how it works? I take a bunch of it?
When you run in circles who party hard, it's like there's that old adage of like, well, you can always take more, but you can't take less, like, which is sensible. But when you hang around with the people I was hanging around with, it's like, well, there will be no more. If I don't take it now, like, so I could always take more. It's like, well, no, because it's going to be gone, because all these fucking degenerates I'm hanging out with, it'll find its way into their bloodstream before I get a chance to do. So yeah, everybody
you know what? And that's that scarcity mindset. You should be more abundant. You should have a mindset of abundance. If we run out of drugs, we must then steal more drugs.
Yes.
And that is a philosophy.
Yeah.
I support.
Yes. Yeah, well, I feel like we'll see if TikTok gets banned. It's not going anywhere. It seems to be a hell of an app. I feel 1,000 years old, speaking of TikTok in the way I have throughout this entire segment. But there you have it. You know what I mean? I use Instagram more than anything. So, and I do appreciate you curating the TikToks for me so I can see some great stuff. Because there's just, every corner, every part of humanity is out there on all these apps. It's social media. That's what it does. So as they mine our data, we see, we see we get to see parts of each other. So it's not.
We're connecting with parts of the world we never were able to see or understand before. We're in a really interesting era in which our socialization has been altered in ways that it will never come back from. And there need to be studies on this shit, because it truly is wild. I think people are better than they've ever been in terms of understanding, but also worse that they've ever been. And it's just because of, again, I think we're macro dosing the world through social media.
Ooh.
Yes. We're kind of being overwhelmed by all of these things. And what happens is when you're overwhelmed by things, you like pit in corners and just like, stop acting like you understand the world. You just don't.
Yeah, you start to feel caged as well. Like the more you're dialed in, you start to feel like very restless in terms of, it's like once you put the glasses on, to go to the metaphor from They Live. But it's like once you do that, it's hard to then like you see all this shit, and it's like you get very restless. So I feel like the idea is. It is dialed in. It's exciting to see a lot of the mobilization that's been done on, with social media and stuff. But I do feel like there's another stage here that we all need to reach collectively to actually start to, challenge centralized power in any legitimate way.
We're not as small. We're not as small as we think that we are, because it does make you feel very small when you look at all of these things, and when you look at the world and you look at all of these things that are happening and are being to use different channels, you start to believe that they're hard to sort of grasp and manage. And that's true. That's because you're not involved in it. You kind of have to make a step forward in order to do these things. And I think it's particularly over the last 2 years because of pandemic, we're now coming off of it. And I think people are just exhausted. They didn't realize how tired that they are.
Yes.
And
yes.
I was like, yeah, and that's what drugs are for.
Yes, that is why. Yes, you must.
That's what drugs are for.
Medicate
caffeine, Ritalin,
Adderall. All the
Adderall. That's why I brought up Ritalin, baby.
Yes,
you
yes.
can't
The
find
Adderall
Adderall
shortage.
anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, like all those things that you need to sort of like figure out what your equilibrium is and stuff.
That's the perfect balance. Yeah, that's what I've been searching for. Started with the macro and dosing, and now we're here. Now you got to try to find in your older age. It's can't really macro as much as I used to as a younger man. That was
yeah. It depends. It depends on the drug because like you can macro dose weed still.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You can still do that.
Well, I can also do like I can do a night. I can do like I'm going to go hard on whatever this is. I'm going to do, I'm going to do some MDMA. I'm going to do some coke, whatever it is for one night. It's just, I can't parlay. I used to be able to keep kicking the can down the road to be like, oh man,
yes,
one more night. Let me just keep, let me just, I'm not yet ready to pay the piper on this one. So like you compound that shit. I'm like, now it's like after one night, I need a week off.
Yeah. You pay the piper immediately and there's interest.
Yes. Lou, I think you already dated yourself. I was going to say, I don't want to ask exactly how old you are, but I feel like you're, you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, that kind of era.
Accurate. I'm not afraid of my age. I'm 37, baby.
Hell yeah. So we were kind of in a very impressionable age, our adolescence, at a time period where I feel was the golden age of anti-drug PSAs. I feel like some of the best, because they're still out there, but they don't quite have the sensational touch that they did back in the heyday. And so, I like to share a lot of these in a number that what I thought growing up PSA stood for, which was propaganda, stigma, and ALF.
Losers are users, so don't use drugs. Don't use drugs. Ah!
This number here is a little PSA, and I'll tell you, it's got some dynamite makeup artistry in it, and let's just take a little peek at this very sinister.
Hey, little dude, send your mama and daddy out of the room. I gotta get you up on this. You know who I am. Snake, dealing in weed, coke, crack, your choice. Take one hit and you'll do anything to cop more. Steal from your mama, lie, cheat on your homeboys. But hey, that's the price you pay when you deal with dudes like me. Now, some folks will tell you that I'm dealing in poison. But hey, do I look like the kind of guy that would do that to a kid like you? Yes!
Well, Snake, the man. For the listeners, this dealer was as he was walking, was slowly transitioning into a reptilian form, and then at the end, fully decent. I'd say decent makeup. Would you say practical effects there?
Yeah, I'm very impressed by the graphics. He went full Snake.
Full Snake. Well, I guess it wasn't practical effects.
Snake.
Once the tongue, there was something at work there. But yeah, he went full Snake, full reptilian mode.
And it was one shot.
One continuous shot. Yes. Yep.
So that meant for those of us who want to know the behind the scenes, that means they had to shoot that several times, or they had different people hide behind because the transition poles to like take over.
That's right.
That's how it worked.
Yeah, there was one part he crossed in the shadows because it goes from like there's like stages where you go back and kind of see he's at one point where he's in a mid transitional form, which is almost like more frightening than the full Snake. It's when you see kind of that in between. But
also, you know what? If becoming a drug dealer turned me into a hybrid snake, I probably would become a drug dealer.
Yeah,
because that's power, that's individualism.
Big time. You can flex. I mean, if you got that tongue, you got that forked tongue coming out like that, you can definitely flex.
You got that big fat reptile head. There's nothing sexier than that.
No, that was some girth on that reptilian head.
It was a fat head.
Fat snake.
That was a fat head.
Yeah,
that was a fat head.
I don't know if I've ever seen a snake quite like with that kind of dome on it, but it was kind of a mix of like lizard person and snake. Yeah, I mean the messaging, of course. The serpentine, always villain, always cast as the villain. The snakes. So I guess that's the messaging.
But also the language. Like I'll keep it honest. Like if that person rolled through talking like that in the Bronx, you're gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. What are you talking like that? What's your problem? Especially like if he turned into a snake, you get the shit beat out of him.
Oh
what
yeah.
The fuck's going on here, dude?
No, he would get worked. Because he was mid deal. Yeah, he's right on the corner there. So it's like this is a walk and talk with where he's explaining, and also yeah, exactly. It's kind of corny to some degree as well. Of this like, hey, tell mommy and daddy to get out of the room. It's like this idea that they're again. It's like we talked about before. People using drugs for the reasoning being it's not this. They're being lured by the evil serpent out of this this idyllic wonderland that they're growing up in. It's like I mean this. You don't have to sell that hard. Is my point. In those situations.
Well, yeah, I like because the ideology behind it obviously is trash. But what is fascinating is what they think would reach people.
Right.
Because it's what they think would reach inner city brown and black folk.
Right.
They're like, oh, this would scare them. A person turned into a snake. I was like, are you for sure?
Yeah.
And normally what it is probably they got one person of color to reach out to and they didn't want to lose their job. And they're like, yeah, man, this is a great idea. You guys are so
snakes
brilliant.
Are scary, man. Yeah, snakes.
I'm just happy to be part of this group. I'm happy to collaborate with you guys. All these ideas are great. And this is not at all disrespectful to people who look like me. And I'm going to tell you that, honestly, because I have nothing to lose except this job and all this money.
Yes. So let's definitely cast a young black dude as a snake. Let's have that happen. Let's have him turn into a snake right before our eyes. Yeah, that's a fun. And he also outs himself at the end. It's that idea of like, would I really do this? Yes. Which again, I think was probably just to get the tongue, flapping there. But really, I'm like, he just owns it as well. Like, I mean, you just turn into a snake and then you go, yeah, I'm a real snake.
That's also a great point that you just made. What is the need and want of Snake?
Yeah, what is
to have you buy drugs? Because if he's turned into a snake to scare you, he's losing business
big time. Because I mean, I'll even say it for myself. Like, let's be, we want to be fucking cool customers over here. If I went to buy an 8-ball from a dude who turned into a snake, I'm not saying I wouldn't continue with the transaction fully, but I'd take a moment at least. And I'm a grown ass man. You know what I mean? Like that would be a little. I'm like, if he's talking, if the age range here is like teenagers. I'm hustling. I'm getting out of there if he turns it.
You want to promise them good things. You want to promise them, look at all the villains. They're always promised good things to people. We're talking like Saruman, Lord Voldemort, Ronald Reagan. They all said good things that would happen for you if you served them. And then they fucked you over because that's what they did.
That's right. That's right.
So, just the premise of this is broken because Snake would not participate. If this Snake was a real person, they would not participate. That's a slander against Snake.
It absolutely is. And also
logic, it doesn't make sense to me.
It's outing other Snake people. I mean, it's like, Dick Cheney never showed his lizard person form. He didn't just, start,
No, but it came out a lot.
I mean, you saw it. The skin.
He can't hold it back.
By the end, the skin was melting off. Yes. But I mean, he never fully mask off lizard tongue out being like, ha,
No. And I think we're in a safe base to say this. Dick Cheney is fucking hot.
Right? This guy.
I was like, I want to fuck him
Dick
right
Cheney.
in the jowl.
He's got some jowls. He's got some jowls on.
He had a nice.
Do you think he puts any work in the bedroom? You think what do you think you know what I mean? Like, is there any way that the bedroom conquest can fulfill the insatiable appetites of Dick Cheney?
First of all, he's paying people. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's very much like, they're moving his body like a marionette. Okay. That's what they're doing.
They're finding all those lizard scales.
Yeah. Yeah. And he probably loves it. And it's very much probably like a ceremony. There's probably candles. There's probably bloodletting.
Sure. It's a very Abu Ghraib vibe. He's got people, hooking his nuts up to car batteries and hoods, putting hoods on. He's
speaking ancient languages that died millions of years ago. And so it's hot. Okay, it's undeniably hot.
There's something ritualistic about that for sure. I could see that.
If your sex isn't ritualistic and wasn't based in various ceremonies and rituals that started millions of years ago, then why are you having sex? Like, what sex are you having if you're having sex at all?
It's true. I also like that people just write off the like whole Bohemian Grove thing. You know, I'm like, these ritualistic things are apart for a reason. You know, these are the people who view themselves as the masters of the universe. You know, they're all about ritual and sacrifice.
Yeah, there are just full-blown sex parties in Washington, D.C. Factual, because there's sex parties everywhere. And because they're the people who run the country are probably really elaborate.
How about that?
From what I heard from...
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, just that congressman who went in and was in and out. What was the dude's name who was in the wheelchair? What was his name? A Republican congressman. He just openly talked about all the coke parties and being invited to the orgies, and then he was just run out on a rail. What the hell was that young man's name?
That's right.
Remember,
he did bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, there's just the cycle just goes. I'm like, there's so much thrown at us at once that people just forget. But he openly was just saying, yeah, they offered me, like, bring me into these, you know, eyes wide shut kind of situations and all these coke parties, and they were like, you young man are out before you're even in. You're out. So that's
because you don't talk about it.
No.
You gotta keep it on the hush hush.
He was like, I want to get so many podcast fucking requests to be on all these podcasts if I just talk this shit. You know, he didn't see the long game there before he even got his chance to get in there.
You can be a podcast guest when you can be a political pundit.
That's true. There's especially if you have that kind of personality, which every politician does. I mean, they're, you know, shitty comedians. They're less better looking actors. You know, they're entertainers, but they're not quite as, you know, so they get into politics.
Yeah, but they got them nice, sexy jowls you can fuck for days.
Oh, Cheney. Oh my word. Yeah. Well, he's gonna live forever. So we'll keep fucking him. Well, yeah. So we got the snake out of the way, which was deeply disturbing. I'll be posting that up on social if you want to actually see it. It's hard. I try to do my best to for listeners to give them a little taste, but this one you got to just see to believe. Well, I feel like before we wrap up here, I want to listeners have gotten to know a lot about you over the course of this conversation, but I would like them to know a little bit more. So what do you say we slip into the user studio for a moment? We end our podcast session with a weekly dose version of the questionnaire that was used masterfully for 24 years by the great James Lipton inside the Actors Studio. And the first question is, Lou Gonzalez, what is your favorite drug?
It used to be like a good weed edible.
Ooh.
And now it's like microdosing mushrooms I really do enjoy.
Oh, the psilocybin microdosing.
I'm a big fan of the psilocybin.
What is your least favorite drug?
Maybe ketamine, because I don't like K-holes.
Yes.
I don't like K-holes.
The K-hole is a place of, can be a place of despair, can be a place of enlightenment. It all depends. It looks like you've stepped out of a K. You're backlit perfectly here. You're glowing. It's like you're an angel sent from heaven here.
Well, just because it's my least favorite drug doesn't mean that I'm not currently taking it. So let's be clear about that.
Here we are. Yes, I mean, on the scale of least favorite, I mean, it's like I'll try anything 19 times. What age were you the first time you found yourself under the influence?
8th grade. So I think that's 12-ish, 11-ish. Right?
12-ish? That sounds about right.
Yeah.
What celebrity's overdose death has had the most profound effect on you?
Prince,
yes. Prince was yes. There was a fentanyl in there. One of the earlies.
That was fentanyl.
Before the full fentanyl fever started. It was
fentanyl. Yeah, they should say how many princes fentanyl would kill.
How many? Yes. Police say they seized enough fentanyl to kill
15,000 princes.
15,000 princes. 50 times over. Oh, my. Diamonds, pearls, and so many fentanyl deaths. What is your favorite slang word for cannabis?
Smoke.
Ooh, smoke. What drug would you like to deal for a living?
Insulin's doing well.
Yes, absolutely. Supply and demand, insulin. It's a great hustle. Scarcity, forced scarcity. What drug would you absolutely not like to deal under any circumstances?
Wow, that's a great question. I guess mushrooms. I guess mushrooms, because I would probably take from my own supply.
Yes, they're getting
Maybe
iron
too
on
much.
supply. Tough to micro dose when you've got when you're surrounded by loads of mushrooms.
Yeah.
And finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear Prince say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
There's an ice cream shop about a block from here. Do you want to go?
Yes, absolutely. Some rocky road with Prince.
Yeah.
Wonderful ice cream. Oh.
And that's something Prince would say. Prince wouldn't say anything prolific. He's like, he'll just be like, hey, you want to vibe? And just even saying that and seeing Prince and the fact that Prince wants to hang, I was like, what's going to happen is not just ice cream.
Oh, no.
know?
Never is.
Never
is with Prince.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, the ice cream person will probably be named Tevin. And it'll be Tevin Campbell. I was like, Tevin Campbell, you died? He's like, no, I'm fully alive, but Prince takes me up here every once in a while.
Prince can bring us up just every so often for scoop. He can bring up his scoopers to scoop his ice cream for him. There's a deal with God. Prince has made a deal with God.
I feel like he probably has.
Beautiful. Well, Lou Gonzalez, these are your drug users. Oh, my word. Well, I think that about does it. That was wonderful. Prince scooping ice cream in heaven is really just like a beautiful imagery. It's something I would love to be.
It's peaceful. It seems very peaceful. And it's something that like I said, I think if anyone who's a fan of Prince would be like, yeah, Prince would do that.
Yeah, he
That'd
absolutely
be Prince's vibe.
Well, Lou, tell people where they can find you, because these TikToks, I've done a great deal hyping them up. But look, if you're not like dialed into the to the TikTok scene, where can people follow you on the socials for your curation?
You can find me at Angry Lou, ANGRYLOU, on Instagram. I'm really not really anywhere else. And I just use the gram to just post, every once in a while promote a show that I do, or maybe a life event I want to share, but rarely. My friends are like, hey, share more things about your life. I was like, text me.
Yes. They're like, what is
if
this?
If you're interested in my life, reach out to me.
Yes.
Stop being passive in your love and start being active.
Yeah. Yes. The active. Yes. A follow on social is not quite enough to then try to curate your feed. Well, yeah. And I miss performing with you. You're a delight. I got to do it many times in New York over the years. You're one of the great performers that I've loved collaborating with over the years, and I want to thank you for doing the program. Any parting words for people? I think there's been a lot of love. We're just preaching love. You can't beat that.
Yeah, man, just like chill out.
Yes,
just chill out. And I'm saying this to myself. You know, I wish there were times in which I can pause. Like Zach Morris and be like, "Hey, chill out." I'm like, "You're right. I should chill out."
Time. Yes. Put a little Zach Morris. That's what the drugs are for.
Indeed.
Well, I love you, Lou. It's so good to see you. Thank you again for doing the show, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. This has been your weekly dose. See you next week.
Hey, America.
Self-Medicated Weekly Dose is hosted and produced by me, Murph Meyer, with support from Pop Culture Collaborative. Our theme song is My Congressman by 15, courtesy of Jeff Ott and Hopeless Records. Original artwork and production design by Diana Kolsky. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the program, you can listen to new episodes of Weekly Dose every Wednesday. Just look for the Murph Meyer is Self-Medicated feed wherever you get your podcasts. While you're at it, subscribe to the Self-Medicated YouTube channel to see new video clips from the show each week. Follow me on Instagram at Murph Meyer. And for some top-shelf harm reduction resources, head over to selfmedicatedpod.com. Also, don't forget, you can call the Weekly Dose podcast anytime to leave me a voicemail message with your thoughts on drugs and the people who use them. Just pick up the phone and dial 443-MK-ULTRA. All right, that's about it for me. I'll see you next week. Love and solidarity. Goodbye. Weekly Dose.
Hey America, there's needle use sleeping with your children, with your daughters, with your sons.